Vodafone subscribers inundated with hoax texts. Report breaks down Health Ministry's expenses. And Korean films hit local cinemas. Very good evening. In recent days, quite a lot of people have received certain mobile text messages originating from overseas numbers. And with some responding to these messages, the Consumer Council of Fiji warned that the text messages are part of a global scam. Myron Williams has more on the story.
It wasn't uncommon on the World Wide Web. Scam emails became something that almost everyone became familiar with. But now people are receiving private text messages on their phones. And what exactly should you do if you receive one of these?
Well, if consumers are receiving text messages or missed call with the area code 371 and 375, my advice to consumers is please do not call back. They should ignore this text message or missed call and do not even bother making a call or sending another text message.
The Consumer Council says those who have responded have incurred serious phone charges and more.
If you do that, there are two things you'll be doing. The first one is you'll be losing money because each call or text message that you are sending, the other party will deduct about $15 to $30. So you're losing about $15 to $30 making that call. And the second problem is as to why you should not be basically making that call, because you are risking your information, the personal information.
Premila Kumar has also questioned the security of personal information with mobile phone operators and has called for more enhanced filtering security to prevent future scam messages.
It sort of puts you into a situation where you start thinking whether there is a better mechanism in place, put in place by some of these companies, you know, the mobile companies. Because how else is this message filtering through? Because if they have a mechanism in place, then these messages should not come.
The country codes these texts are being sent from are 375 for Belarus and Afghanistan and 371 for Latvia. Myron Williams, Fiji One News.
Is aware of the hoax text messages and has advised its customers not to respond. In a statement, Vodafone Fiji says that they have blocked the sender's mobile number from sending any more text messages to Vodafone Fiji network. They've also prevented Vodafone users here from calling the source of these messages. But there is still a possibility that such scam operators with global network could use other mobile numbers and mobile networks in other countries to continue to send such messages. Vodafone is advising its customers that these are hoax messages with the intention to defraud subscribers. The Republic of Korea has indicated that it's willing to provide some form of assistance for the 2014 general elections. However, Ambassador Kim Seong-in said they have to determine what or how exactly Korea can assist government. Ambassador Seong-in said that ultimately Korea would like to help contribute to successful elections next year.
Korea is also one of the countries which 2014 September election could be made successfully in a fair and transparent manner. We haven't discussed on the supply of technical assistance, but we are now taking into account a certain contribution, provision of small logistics.
The Health Ministry's expenditure last year was pegged at a little more than $250 million. This was revealed in its National Health Report released this morning. Of this amount, more than 60% was from taxpayers' funds, while some 30% came from private and donor partners. Let us start with the details.
The Health Ministry now has a clear picture of its expenses, thanks to the National Health Accounts Report. Last year, apart from sourcing funds from public and private funds, 5.9% of the total expenditure was sourced from the development partners. A staggering 34% came from the private sector.
There's a lot more capital development being undertaken, and there's a lot more earmarked for 2014 and 15. In fact, there's a huge amount of capital being put in. Previously, we had a capital of 6.8 million. In 2014, that was going to go beyond $20 million.
More than $80 million were also spent on wages, salaries and other staffing costs by the ministry. Dr. Sharma says with the introduction of 170 nurses every year, this figure is expected to increase in future.
From next year, or from the graduation this year in December, 200 nurses are going to be introduced to the workforce every year for the next 5 years. Previously, we used to introduce 25, 30 doctors a year. From this year, 75 new graduates are coming out, and that's the sort of numbers we're looking at over the next 5 years. So obviously, if you're going to improve the services, you need the manpower. And when you need the manpower, you need to pay them appropriately also.
In terms of health functions, close to 40% of his finances was allocated towards curative care.
But if you look at the trend in the last 4 years, the number of patients coming in is, although increasing population-wise, but the relative percentages have gone down. So we are pumping in a lot more money into primary care and into wellness. So as a result, the trend will change. We are seeing that initial trends already taking shape, that in that the numbers will drop, so we will shift into the preventive era.
Not surprisingly, hospitals receive the bulk of government funding. In the 2014 budget, the health sector has been allocated $222.4 million. Halitesh Dutt, Fiji One News.
For the first time ever, several candidates from the private sector participated in an induction course for the diplomatic services. This, according to the Public Service Commission, is aimed at ensuring that Fiji has the best pool of diplomats to choose from for overseas postings if and when the need arises.
Well-trained diplomats are crucial in the areas of foreign trade, commerce and conflict resolution, among many other things, for any country. And for the first time, candidates from the private sector today joined those from the civil service to undergo an induction course free of charge. This to ensure that only the best would one day represent Fiji on foreign soil.
It's quite historic because really this is the first time we including private sector in this course. And that is also in line with the provisions of 2013 Constitution, which allows appointments into public service based on ability, education, experience, and other characteristics of merit.
Parmesh Chand urged the 30 who were selected to undergo the training to make the most of it, with government expecting to see optimal returns on this investment.
This course is meant to train you to become a diplomat. That does not necessarily mean, of course, that you will get appointed as a diplomat straight away, but it is in preparation for you being trained as a diplomat. And also our work nowadays involves increasingly elements of diplomacy.
Chand adds that in a globalized world, it is not easy being a diplomat, and it will be challenging yet rewarding.
We need effective diplomats who can build coalitions of different actors, namely the public, the civil society, the private sector and the academia. Diplomats who can lobby to drive down barriers to trade and build on political relationships that support greater trade and investment for small economies.
Fiji's ambassador to Japan, Isikeli Mataitonga, is conducting the week-long training. Myron Williams, Fiji One News.
Public officers continue to hold Christian prayer sessions in the professional setting despite the 2013 Constitution expressly prohibiting this. Today's induction course for the diplomatic services opened with a prayer. The Constitution, which came into effect in September this year, states that religious belief is personal and religion and the state are separate. Section 4 of Chapter 1 of the Constitution clearly states that the state and all persons holding public office must not prefer or advance by any means any particular religion, religious denomination, religious belief or religious practice over another or over any non-religious belief. Ahead in the news, park administrators clarify rules. A multi-million-dollar complex nears completion. Hello again. Since its opening last month, the Suva City Council Park has been a hit with the public. However, concerns have been raised about the way some religious groups leave behind materials from the rituals performed at the site. This is particularly for materials used in Hindu rituals, most of which are often disposed in the sea. The Suva foreshore has become a preferred site for this, and although it is an important part of Hindu rituals, the council is urging those concerned to be more considerate of the general public.
The council respects all religion organization, whatever it may be. But as for the Hindus, I like to advise that the Sarat Ghat, that we call that area the Sarat Ghat, this will be shortly relocated from the Suva Point to Nadara Street, which is next to the Watuanga Cemetery.
To address this issue, the council is looking at setting up a special place for such activities so everyone can enjoy the facilities provided.
We have decided to relocate this. As you know, this is a picnic area and a lot of people are using this area apart from Hindus. And it isn't a complaint, but for environment issues, we like to see that people who come and use the picnic area or use the sea do not find it disturbance.
Meanwhile, another issue that's concerned those frequenting the park is the consumption of kava or grog at the park. The council has since clarified issues pertaining to this, but says that alcohol consumption and smoking are prohibited.
We haven't stopped that. We see and we feel that it brings people together as long as they, because I know people don't get drunk drinking kava, but they get dogged. But I'm sure that can be handled than handling people who are drunk.
Film is one platform to learn about cultures, and this is an approach the Embassy of the Republic of Korea is taking. And it's hoped that more people here will be able to grasp more about Korea through the 2013 Korean Film Festival. Ravai Vafo reports.
Since Monday, various Korean films have been shown on the big screens here. The 2013 Korean Film Festival is largely aimed at educating the general public through films. Organized by the Korean Embassy, Ambassador Seong Kim hoped the films would showcase more about Korea.
It will provide Fijian people with an opportunity or momentum of watching Korean the movies and also having better understanding on Korean culture.
So far, the response for the first two shows have been positive, and the ambassador hopes this initiative will lead to more cultural learning exchanges in the future.
Encourage people of Korea, people of Fiji could be more and more close through a variety of cultural exchange programs.
Ambassador Seong Kim also hopes this could foster a stronger relationship between Korea and Fiji, and has also indicated the possibility of Korea assisting our budding film industry.
Korean embassy will play a certain role to boost the film industry in Fiji in the future.
The film festival ends tomorrow. Tickets are free of charge and available at the embassy and Village 6 cinemas. Ravai Vafo, Fiji One News.
Officials from the National Substance Abuse Advisory Council are capitalizing on a gathering of a large number of youths to disseminate information about drug abuse. More than 2,000 members of the Methodist Youth Fellowship are currently camping at the YPD facility in the level. As Apisalome Rambo reports, stakeholders hope to address the issue by giving the youths a serious reality check.
Drug abuse is a problem that just doesn't seem to go away. With statistics pointing to alarming trends, the largest Christian denomination, the Methodist Church, have enlisted the experts to enlighten its youths about the harsh reality of any forms of substance abuse.
The concern is there because when we listen to the media report and also the concern by the parents and maybe the church circuit, seeing that, noting down that the youths are mostly the ones that are abusing drugs, I can see that that is one of the reasons why the Methodist Church thought that we should invite us to come in and to also conduct drug awareness to the youths.
And to drive the point home, Nazak invited other important stakeholders. It's these institutions where most substance abuse victims end up.
When they abuse drugs, most of them, they go to court and they end up in jail. And for those who abuse drugs, some of them, they end up at St. Giles Hospital.
Addressing problems such as these is not at all easy. That's why cautious preventative measures must be taken.
Once we see the opportunity, we thought of inviting the Yellow Ribbon and also the mental health hospital that it's at St. Giles, and also the counseling department of the Ministry of Education. The reason why we invited them, because we see that we are all important stakeholders in the fight against drug and substance abuse.
With a lot at stake, there's no doubt that effective forms of discipline need to be developed. The camp currently held at Lilin Memorial School will end on Friday. Apisalome Rambo, Fiji One News.
The Vanua o Nakurvarua will this evening receive the body of its late Paramount Chief Ratu Sekiusa Makutu. The late Turanga Kalevu's solemn funeral procession to Thuvu was led by the Maramana Rokotun Riketi and Paramount Chief of the Mburumbasanga Confederacy, Rote Mumukepa.
The beating of the lali signifying a Vanua in mourning for its late Paramount Chief. This as delegations of chiefly households from the three confederacies converge in Nakurvarua to mourn the death of the late Turang Nakalevu Ratu Sekiusa Makutu.
As we can see now, the people of Serua have just arrived. We are also ready to receive the delegation from Mburumbasanga. Yesterday, we received the Tuivunda. Tomorrow, we will be receiving the Prime Minister, who will be leading the government delegation, and this also where we will close the Rengu.
Well, the Rengu has been open since Monday. Ratu Aisea said yesterday the Vanua Kumbuna, led by the chiefly family from Bau, which included the Turang Narotu in Bau, Ratu Choni Manraiwiwi, and the President, Ratu Epel Nailatikau, were in Thuvu to present the Rengu as they mourn with the province of Nanrunga.
Yesterday, we received the delegation from the Kumbuna Confederacy, led by the President and the Turang and Narotu in Bau. The Tailevu province came separately with their Rengu.
The late Turang Nakalevu, the Tui Nanrunga, has maternal links to Mbau in the Kumbuna Confederacy through his late father Ratu Tevita Makutu, whose mother is from the Chiefly Island. He is also the first cousin of the Maramana Rotu Riketi, Rote Mumukepa, who is the daughter of his father's sister, Andi Asenatha Makutu. Rote Mumu led the funeral procession in bringing the body of the late Ratu Sekiusa to Thubu tonight from the Singatoka Hospital.
Today we will be receiving the body of the late Turang Nakaleu in the village. The Maramana Rokotun Riketi will be leading the procession here.
Ratu Sekiusa Makutu will be laid to rest at the chiefly burial grounds in Thuvu village tomorrow morning, following a funeral service that will be conducted by the former president of the Methodist Church in Fiji, Reverend Ame Tungawe.
A man was admitted at the Singatoka Hospital yesterday after the vehicle he was driving fell into a river at Lomawai. According to police, the vehicle was passing over a bridge which collapsed, sending the vehicle into the river. The incident occurred yesterday morning. It was transporting gravel from Lomolomo. The 2-ton truck was almost fully submerged with just its 2 front wheels showing. The driver is under observation while the 2 passengers were treated and sent home. Tourism Fiji has unveiled its new global marketing strategy for next year. The industry now plans to leverage heavily off its slogan of Fiji, where happiness meets you. Our West-based reporter Madhium Boletamana with the details.
Creating an enabling environment for growth in the tourism industry to realize its great potential as a hub not only in the Pacific but in the competing world. This was the crux of the message delivered by the Minister for Tourism as he addressed Fiji's major stakeholders in the industry.
We have enormous potential. We're just sitting on the cusp of it. And that's what we are focusing on, ladies and gentlemen. And our philosophy in terms of the economic model, obviously, is to be able to, as government, create an enabling environment. As the Prime Minister said, the enablers. We want to put in place the enablers. You obviously are very good at what you do. All you simply need are the enablers.
Kayum says, with a platform already laid some 4 years ago, government, in seeing the promise the industry has for the future, made some crucial changes to their game plan to ensure the industry realizes its potential.
That is our next step in terms of how best do we utilize the tourism dollar within Fiji and how it should stay within Fiji. So of course numerous changes have taken place. There was an audit that was carried out within Tourism Fiji itself to look at perhaps some of the anomalies that existed and how best we could then position Tourism Fiji for the 21st century.
The event also marked the launch of a promotional video produced by Tourism Fiji, harnessing the message of Fiji where happiness meets you, which will be used as a comprehensive marketing tool to promote her as a prime destination.
These are some very, very interesting times for Fiji. Our growth rate is now 3.6%. It's unprecedented. Global growth rate is now 2.9%. We are 3.6%. We've had discussions with various multilateral agencies, and they're saying that the path that Fiji is on, if this path continues, then we would have unsurpassed growth rates.
Fiji One News.
The festive season always brings out the best in most people, and it's usually at this time that corporate social responsibility goes into overdrive. This was yesterday at the MHCC complex here in the capital city. MHCC organized its annual dinner for orphanages and also handed out gifts for the children.
MHCC has been hosting the orphanages for the last 5 years. It's a tradition that we have carried on, and we hope to continue this as long as we are here. Today we've got the Homes of Hope, the Chevalier Home, Sujit Kumar Happy Home, Dilkusha Home and St. Christopher's.
But this event is not only for those here in the Central Division. The MH Group plans to head to other parts of the country in the lead up to Christmas.
Each year we will be sponsoring the homes as well as the kids with cancer around Fiji. Yesterday we had the cancer kids, today we have the 5 homes, and on the 11th we'll be in the west doing the same.
We have the latest news from around the Pacific up next. Stay with us. The government of the Solomon Islands took a significant step towards addressing threats to the shark population within their waters. According to WWF, sharks are not just important in the marine ecosystem, but to indigenous people throughout the Pacific. And despite most people in the Pacific being quite familiar with sharks, not much is known about the creature in terms of details and data.
The Solomon Islands government recognise that even in their own waters they don't know what's going on with sharks, but today I think they want to make a commitment to find out much more about these creatures.
The announcement was made today at the 9th Pacific Islands Conference on Nature Conservation and Protected Areas at the Vodafone Arena in Suva.
We are pleased today to announce that to achieve these commitments, to better understand and appreciate the value of sharks in our waters, Solomon Islands, in partnership with WWF, South Pacific Program Office, will work towards a national plan of action or a comprehensive management plan for the sustainable utilization of shark resources in Solomon Islands.
Now remember, you can also view the Fiji One News Bulletin on our new website. That's www.fijione.tv. And you can also watch previous news bulletins as well as our current affairs, business and sports shows. The highly anticipated multi-million-dollar Damodar City complex outside the capital is nearing completion. It will be officially opened by the Prime Minister Commodore Borenge Bainimarama next week. The Lodala Bay complex is already promising positive spin-offs to the economy and employment.
The $30 million complex is now ready. Excitement is building as the owners and the general public anticipate its opening. So far, 81 companies have acquired space at the complex, providing employment to more than 1,000 people.
It is good for us as Fijians, as it benefits the economy,
and benefits the employment point of view. Also, we've also like to highlight there's a lot of holiday jobs sprung up, and which the cinema and all the other tenants are also looking forward to that.
With continuous expansion in the capital city in terms of development, Damodar says the $30 million investment in the complex has been justified.
We really like to focus on local businesses, successful local businesses. As you see around us, these are local businesses that are here, born here, and they dedicated their life up here. And we're very proud of that. So even for new tenants, we give first priority to local investors.
Along with a host of facilities, cinemas are also an attraction. For the first time, 5-dimensional movies will also be screened.
It's an amusement ride with a couple of films. That a very good one they've got in there is called Base Moto. It's a 5-dimensional, the whole chair moves up, twists you down, water sprays on your whole work, so it's something very new.
Damodar group of companies is also working on implementing a movie money card system that will be used to purchase movie tickets online. Halith Ishtat, Fiji One News.
Andrew is next with sports, and Mulevoro's try rated the best.
Yes, Billy, even after the Dubai Sevens, people continue to follow the Fiji Sevens team that are now in Africa, and that's coming up next. Also ahead, Inokia Male pinpoints Flying Fijians' downfall. And two Mba teams in same pool at NCC.